G'day, folks. It's time for my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. Starting with number 5, we have Paranormal Activity. Yes, now, this film is not the first captured footage film horror movie to come out, but you know what? It did it damn well. I remember sitting there in the cinema and feeling really tense and sort of on the edge of my seat and quite uneasy and uncomfortable. And it takes a lot for a horror movie to do that to me because I've seen them all. I'm pretty desensitized, but this one was really creepy. And that's pretty much what my list is composed of. The movies that I found most effective and that are most memorable to me in evoking a feeling of unease, sense of dread, and just that feeling of impending doom and that something foul, a foul plot is afoot. So that's Paranormal Activity. Next at number 4, we have, this will be controversial, Jeepers Creepers. A lot of people probably think that this movie is just a mindless, stupid, low budget, early 2000s horror movie, but it's much more than that. Rewatch it, folks. Especially the way it starts off as one of the best openings to a horror movie of all time. It's so intriguing. It From the moment they are driving along that highway and the brother and sister witness, something quite potentially horrific. It just, you get that feeling, that sense of dread. It kicks in. The movie is well directed. It's well paced. It's a pretty short movie, but it just goes really fast. The acting is quite good. The special effects are fantastic, and you don't see too much of the monster. He's for most of the film, he's kept in the shadows, and he's played in a mysterious way. They don't give any details as to what he is, where he comes from, and what his motives are. And that mystery builds fear, and it builds suspense. The fear of the unknown, folks. All right, number 3, we have, this will be controversial too, The Blair Witch Project. A lot of people rubbish this movie, but it is the granddaddy of all found footage films. Now, what more can I say than it's for bang for buck, you'll never get a better movie. The most efficient film probably ever made. But every time I watch it, I still get that sense of hopelessness, it doesn't feel like they're acting. Obviously they are. A lot of people at the time didn't think they were, and it was the first viral movie campaign, on the internet. But this movie, the way it was shot is pure genius. The filmmakers had a loose script, and the actors knew a minimal amount of plot points, and they weren't really given much dialogue information, and the filmmakers camped ahead of them, and each night would just mess with them in unpredictable ways that they didn't know were going to happen. And so a lot of the reactions they got were genuine. Not all, but a lot were, because they were surprised and they didn't know what to expect that was going to happen. Like the rock piles around their tents, and the stick figure people, and the noises at night. They weren't all of those elements were not all expected by the actors. So you got some genuine reactions out of them. And talk about a movie that can creep you the hell out without showing anything. It literally, you don't see the antagonist at all. It's left mysterious. And with me, as you'll find out, mystery, in a lot of movies, mystery builds suspense, it builds horror, it builds anticipation, puts you on the edge of your seat, and you can't evoke that feeling very often if you're showing everything. Although there is an exception to that on this list, but that movie earned its right to be number 1. All right, we'll move on to number 2 is Alien from 1979. That's right, Ridley Scott's absolute masterpiece in sci-fi horror. Some say it's a slasher film in space. Some say it's pure sci-fi. Some say it's pure horror. I guess some would call it a thriller. I've got it on my horror list because I think it satisfies the tropes of horror. It it is a mysterious threat that lurks in the shadows, and it's otherworldly, and our protagonists spend most of the movie in sheer and utter terror, being stalked and hunted. So I'd say that suffices for a horror movie. And has it been done, better in a sci-fi setting? I would argue no, never. I mean, the hallways of the Nostromo are so dark and creepy and dingy. The movie is just expertly paced. The suspense is expertly built. The acting is phenomenal. The lighting is incredible. The special effects are amazing. I mean, the scenes on LV-426, the extreme storms there and the weather. Oh, it's so, the film is so atmospheric. It builds so much tension and suspense. The xenomorph is not shown very much in the light. It's always lurking in the shadows. Again, another great thing to do in a horror film that a lot of movies nowadays is just you have your beast or your creature just bathed in light, which is terrible. Bad idea, folks. So, Alien, very well earned number 2 spot on my list. All right, now my number 1 horror movie is, lo and behold, The Exorcist from 1973. Yes. Now, I know this sort of flies in the face of me saying, don't show too much of your villain and all that, because this movie shows a hell of a lot of the villain. But, in my opinion, the slow build-up and the sense of dread, the palpable sort of atmosphere of impending doom and evil. There's just like an evil in the air in this film for like a big portion building up to the possession of little Reagan. And no movie I've seen has done it better than that. So by the time you do get the big reveal of what she looks like as the demon Pazuzu when she's possessed, it's earned. It's earned in this movie. And even though they do show it a lot, it never... I know some people feel it's cartoony when she turns her head all the way around. It is a little bit, but it's so unnerving and creepy too. And as a believer myself in Jesus Christ, some of the blasphemous scenes are so disturbing, and that's what makes this film so effective as a horror movie. You really feel sorry for the girl, and you really feel just so disturbed and irked out in such a horrible way, because this demon is so perverse and evil. But I also love the fact that the good guys are priests, and how often is that portrayed in movies? And especially love Father Damien Karras, played so well by Jason Miller. What a performance. Should have won an Oscar for that. Just as a priest that refines his faith. And so it really, it's a story, is not often portrayed, but it is a story of good defeating evil. But that journey to get there of good triumphing and the Lord, defeating this demon, it's a hard road, and it's a horrific road. And that's why this film is number 1 on my list of all-time greatest horror movies. So that's my list, folks. If you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what your favorite top 5 horror movies are. I'd love to know. So please, like, share, and subscribe. Leave me your comments if you are so inclined. God bless you all, and I'll see you later.